Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Above the Ring. I'm your host, Sam the SLB. Alongside me today, as always, the man behind the Twitter, the other half of this operation. It is Scott. Hey, buddy, how's it going this morning? We took 1 week off, and I feel like it's been eons.
I know, right? I'm doing well. Another excellent week of wrestling, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
I am as well. If you guys don't already do so, please make sure you listen to Scott's Raw Review and SmackDown Study, both released on Tuesdays and Saturdays, respectively. Especially this coming week and this past SmackDown Study, the draft is going on. Scott will give you his thoughts. Also, I'd like to mention, Scott, we had a big milestone this week. Well, last week on Twitter.
We did. We hit that 5K. Man. I've been, doing Twitter stuff for a while, and even before we started doing stuff together, and I was never able to hit anything anywhere close. And this just feels so satisfying. And I know it's just 5K, but it's like, it's that first milestone. And now it's like, all right, 10K, we're coming for you.
Well, let's also keep in mind, I want all the fans who will listen to keep in mind that all that's natural. Scott and I've never dumped money into a Twitter. So in 3.5 years, that's been all natural growth. And we're really proud of that. And we want to thank everybody who does follow us. Flaunt it a little bit. Sure. We did that naturally. The irony is we did pump money and after that and nothing happened, which was ironic, but
but I swear I think the advertisement was broken. Because I know when we were talking about that page was having some major issues. So I think we just need to pump the brakes on it and bring it back, and I think everything will be fine after that. But yeah, that was pretty hilarious. We hit 5K, all right, let's do this promotion. And, oh, Twitter, you're gonna break? Oh, okay, I see how it is. Thanks, that's guys.
Cool. Bye 50. So want to get right into this. We got some things we want to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about last week's Arthur Ashe Stadium show from Dynamite as well. Always the worst week where I missed to record. It's like, oh, what's going on? Don't worry about it. And then we go to record. It's like, oh shit, yeah, that did happen, huh? Huh?
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. Just to kind of go back, I will recount some of the times I was not able to watch or live tweet Dynamite. First and foremost was Bash at the Beach. Second of all was the Georgia Dome show. Those two shows didn't live tweet. Still have not watched them. I need to go back and watch them at some point. But they were shows that probably would have been great content. I don't think we were podcasting in at that point, or at least to this magnitude. But I want to talk about that. Also want to talk about a couple other things going on, guys. First and foremost, MLW is doing tapings for their new Fightland show. Spoilers have dropped, and I was debating with Scott to even mention them. We're not. But there's some exciting stuff going on here that I'm looking forward to. I know Bobby Fish made his debut over there. TJP Alex Shelley, Tajiri wrestled. Speaking about Alex Shelley, TJP, if I'm not mistaken, TJP just joined Will Ospreay's Empire faction.
Ooh.
Over in New Japan. It's interesting because I was just watching a video about, I think who put out Cultaholic or What Culture. It was 10 wrestling gimmicks taken from movies. And one of them they mentioned was Okada's gimmick when he was over in TNA or Kato, where he was dressed up as Kato from the Green Hornet, and New Japan was bullshit when they saw what they were doing. Why. And they actually, I was reading, they wanted an actual written formal apology for trying to destroy their prospect.
Makes sense.
And now here we are where TJP, who is a TNA talent or Impact talent, and he's now, it's almost like that never happened.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I think there's been 3 or 4 different management changes in Impact in TNA since that's happened. So it kind of is like it really didn't happen.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it almost seemed like TNA was when they were TNA, they were really trying to go after what WWE was trying to do, doing dumb shit like that. And now it's like you watch them and it's like, wow, you feel like you're watching Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it's when I was able to watch it live, it had that I wouldn't really say indie feel to it, but it had I don't know. It was in like a weird hybrid like situation, but it was good. It wasn't terrible television at all. It was good stuff. It was just, I don't know. TNA's always been hit or miss. Like they can have some real fire stuff. You talk about like Aces and Eights, the whole Hardy, Broken Universe, and
the talent they generated themselves.
Yeah, like they did some great stuff, but then there's some terrible times, and it's just like, oh my god, like this place is doomed. They're not going to be on television for more than like a month, and somehow they always find their way out of it. And I feel at this point, like ever since Slammiversary a couple years ago, like they really have been on a upward trajectory. Maybe not as fast, obviously, as like AEW, but they're still on an incline, so they're still working their way up. So I like to see that. The more competition that is out there is better for all wrestling fans. They just need a better television deal because I want to watch them again live.
Yeah, they need and I know Access owns them, but it would be nice to see, even get access in more houses.
Yeah, I mean they're on a higher cable tier, but I'm not paying all that extra money for one extra channel to watch a 2-hour wrestling show.
Let's think about the irony of that, Scott.
I know.
You're going to pay a higher cable tier to get, and this isn't to knock any of these other networks, but you're going to pay a higher tier to get lower quality TV. I don't need another 30 stations to show me music documentaries or movie documentaries or, right. Here's another 100 cooking channels that I don't need.
Right, exactly. Like I barely watch cable outside of wrestling as it is, and I keep looking at my cable bills, and I'm just like, do I really want to deal with this?
Sling, Scott.
I know, Sam.
Well, I'm gonna jump over quickly. We have some other interesting things going on that we actually no, this was this week. So it sounds like SummerSlam next year is going to take place in the UK. For the 30th anniversary of the 92. The front-runner venue is Cardiff's Principality Stadium in Wales.
Ooh, all right.
The venue can hold 78,000 people.
Oh, hello. Yeah, they'll fill that definitely with oh my god, with UK fans? Absolutely.
Well, so I have two things here. And I'm going to say one of them off the bat, and I've said this for years now. And I've told you this, and I've said it on the podcast. Why the fuck is SummerSlam held in an indoor venue?
I agree, 100%.
SummerSlam is the party of the summer. It should always be held outside. Because I remember when I came, like I said, when I got back into wrestling, it's like, oh, cool, SummerSlam. This will be fun because, it's one of the big four. And it was at 2016, and I'm watching, I'm like, this looks like a glorified episode of SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah. Pretty much.
This should be outside, like what they're doing with the Rumble right now. It's like, I love it. It's like they're out in a bigger venue. They're not like trying to they're not trying to be WrestleMania because you save the spectacle for Mania.
Right.
But it's like it has a bigger feel because it's in a bigger venue.
Right.
And SummerSlam should feel like it's outside.
Agreed.
Second of all, I would be curious to how fast this show sells, especially with everything else. I know in the States right now, they're like on a downcline with ticket sales. I don't know how it is over in the UK. I know they don't go over there often. So maybe because their time of going over there isn't as often, they'll fill up that stadium.
Well, I know UK fans are a lot more rabid than we are, and I say that in the best way. I don't mean any disrespect. I love watching when I was watching NXT UK shows, like the crowd there. I want every American city to be like them. And I know with COVID and whatnot, it's been tough. Like I do have a couple of friends that do live in the UK, and when I talk to them about it, they're like, it's terrible. But to get them outside again, especially if it's outdoors, I don't know the full law when it comes to how they are with COVID and whatnot. But if you put, close to 80K in a stadium for wrestling to get people outdoors, people will go. I can almost guarantee that place will sell out. I don't know how fast, but it will sell out easily.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it was like, I think that's the best way to, going back to the outside thing, I think this will be a way to sell it. Had they gone, yeah, we're just gonna run SummerSlam in a small arena, I don't see it selling out. Or maybe it will, because again, they're not over there often. But
I know they just actually came back from a UK tour, so that also kind of made, I think it was last week's SmackDown a little bit more interesting, because there was only like a handful of talent. But yeah, it's nice to see them over there. I would like to see some more Raw and SmackDown tapings over there. That was always fun. Because again, the crowds are just absolutely insane, and I love them, and I want to be a part of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't tape while they were over there. Why? I don't know. But I want to jump over. We're talking about attendance. So if this ad gets out of my face, last week it was announced that there's I don't know if this is a new, so a new stadium being built on Long Island called the UBS Arena.
I believe it's the new home of the Islanders, I think.
Yep. If you're into hockey, I mean, the Islanders don't matter. So, ooh, did I spit fire?
Ooh, sorry. Wait a minute.
I'm waiting for the New York fans to come out and attack me. But anyways, and honestly, like, I know Raw holds a taping on the 29th of November there. AEW is going to hold a taping on December 8th. The building actually opens up on the 20th of November. And so far, ticket sale, and this was from 2 weeks ago. I don't know what the updated sales numbers are here. So I'm going off of a 2-week-old article. This article was written on the 19th. As of last night, the Raw set for the 29th, they only sold 2,365 of the 7,398 tickets available. That's 32%. Now, the AEW and Dynamite, the Dynamite and Rampage tape-ins, just a week later, as of the same night, sold 6,167 tickets of the 8,851 tickets available, 70%. I know some people like, oh, they've been on sale. The fact that they were able to sell this quick, I think, says a lot.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I will for WWE's benefit, I will stand up for them on this one. If I'm not mistaken, let's see. No, I guess I can't. No. I was going to make the argument. I go, maybe that's Thanksgiving week. It is the week. That's the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So maybe people will be traveling home by that point or whatnot.
Especially with Black Friday. A lot of people are already in Christmas shopping zone. And yeah, by that point, they might be traveling home. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I can make that argument. I would like to see what the ticket sales are now. If anyone has an updated article or count, I would definitely like to look into that. But I think it still says a lot.
It does. I mean, AEW is on fire. I mean, there's no denying that. If you're still not at least acknowledging the fact that they're doing really well for themselves, then you need to stop living under a rock. I mean, seriously.
Mm-hmm. Well, Scott, I think that's what we have for news. I want to get right into what happened this week on NXT. Scott, kick us off.
Good old NXT 2.0. I want to say I was going to cover this last week, but I'll talk about it now real shortly. I'm completely on board with 2.0 now. I know that the first week we talked about it, I was very hesitant. The whole, like, I don't know, maybe just I'm a creature of habit and I'm not really big on change. And but the way they're presenting it now, talking about these stars, most of them are getting their own little vignettes now, and the quality of the stuff that they're able to do in the ring, you can tell they're still new, they're still, unpolished, ready to, not completely ready to go, but that's the whole point of this show. It's going to be more of a developmental brand, like they were honestly trying to have this be, and you get to see people grow from the ground up, and I can appreciate that. So yeah, we'll jump right into this action. Our first match, which I was a little surprised at what they threw on top of this. It was Elektra Lopez from Legado del Fantasma taking on B-Fab from Hit Row. Now, they made this a no DQ match, so I'm like, okay, this is a way maybe to get around both of their, I don't know, green-ish style of wrestling. We haven't seen B-Fab do too much in the ring. I think maybe this was her second match. And Elektra Lopez, same thing. Like, we haven't seen her too much on television outside of beating people with lead pipes. But the match was good for what it was. Lopez actually gets the victory, which I was actually surprised with. I didn't expect B-Fab to go down so quickly. But with what happened this past Friday on SmackDown, Hit Row was drafted to SmackDown. Now, the way, and I talked about this on my SmackDown study, the way the draft is this year, none of these picks are going to be in effect until the night after Crown Jewel, which is Thursday, October 21st. So we're going to have this 3-week, like, I don't know, interesting period of nobody really knows where they're going, or they may know where they're going, but they're still on their old shows. So it kind of makes it feel like it's going to be a bit of a mess, but that's the main roster. It's always a mess. So it's, status quo. We then moved on to Zion Quinn taking on and defeating Oney Lorcan. This one surprised me. Now, I know Zion Quinn got the win over Boa weeks ago, but I kind of chalked that up to, a storyline with what was going on that side of things. But Quinn looks pretty good. He's tapping into his Samoan background. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, I know where this is going. He's a Samoan. Okay. I can already tell. After that, they had a interview with MSK, which turned into a lovely little brawl because grizzled young veterans came out. They won another shot at the titles, which is still a crime to me that they have not been NXT Tag Team Champions at least once at this point. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams came out. Carmelo teasing that maybe he'll use his guaranteed title shot in a tag team championship match, which I think would be a huge mistake. Because you can't count on yourself. You have to rely on your tag team partner as well. And I think that would be a colossal mistake. But that's just my opinion. And then Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen, who have been on every episode at this point of NXT 2.0, and they're really pushing them as a tag team. Now, with them, I get this odd feeling of either they're like the new APA, just obviously without the beer drinking right now, or Garrison Cade and Trevor Murdoch. Those are the two tag teams that I could see these two turning into at some point or another. It just, they're almost at that precipice of one way or the other. And I really feel, I'm not sure how this will go. I know Josh Briggs from the indie scene. I've watched him in a bunch of matches. Like, he's ridiculous by himself. I don't know anything really much about Brooks Jensen, so I'm kind of just going with it. But, the way they formed as a tag team, they beat the shit out of each other in a bar, and then they're like, well, if you can come up and punch me in the face, then I got to respect you for it. So now they're a tag team. Okay, that works. But it just shows that the NXT Tag Team division has plenty left to fight about. I know with the draft continuing on Raw this upcoming Monday, it makes you wonder, or at least it makes me wonder if maybe MSK will be called up, because I think they're ready. But who knows? We'll see. After that, we had our NXT Women's Tag Team title match. It was Io Shirai and Zoe Stark taking on Toxic Attraction. First of all, I love this name. I think it's perfect for three beautiful women to be called Toxic Attraction.
Toxic?
Yeah, it's perfect. With Io and Zoe getting the win, which was a little bit of a part of me actually thought this was a bit of a surprise, because Io and Zoe, they're like this dysfunctional tag team, but we never see them on television. They've only defended the titles, I think, twice now, and it's still, I don't know. They need to give us more on these two, or you need to separate them and let Io shine, and Zoe as well. It's just, I don't know. We'll see going forward. After that, Boa took on and defeated Andre Chase. Andre Chase, his gimmick. I don't know, Sam, if you've been able to watch NXT this past week, but the whole University of Chase or Andre University or whatever the hell they're calling it, it's just, it screams like Spirit Squad or Chris Nowinski. Like, they're recycling something, but I appreciate it for what it is. Andre Chase is a great, he's a great performer, so I think he'll do this justice. But it's just, he's so obnoxious, and I love it.
No, I did not actually get to. Sorry, I know I did not get to watch, but I definitely want to because I'm curious with all the other talent they're bringing up right now.
Yeah, I know you've had a busy couple of weeks, so it's totally understandable.
Well, I'm looking at this next part of the show, and I'm totally need to watch it now because I totally missed something.
Which part are you talking about?
There's a match that includes a title.
Oh yes, with Roddy Strong.
Yeah.
Defending his cruiserweight title versus Grayson Waller. Now, last time we saw Grayson Waller, I believe he was with Drake Maverick in like this thrown together tag team. And I'm like, who in the hell is this kid? But it was a good match. I like that when they throw this new talent at you and you kind of don't know what to expect, and then they impress a little bit. It's like, okay, all right. But Roddy does obviously retain, using the rest of Diamond Mine there as well to help him hold on to the title. Then, if I remember correctly, let's see. No, it wasn't the main event, but another hard-hitting match. Kyle O'Reilly taking on and defeating Rich Holland. I'm glad that Kyle's back. I kind of expected him to disappear after his beating that he took to take him out of the title match. I also kind of expected that to be a call-up when they started doing the draft, and of course that could still happen because Monday's still coming. So who knows? But I feel like Kyle's time in NXT is numbered at this point. I really truly feel like he's not going to be there for too much longer.
Well, if they're bringing up Hit Row, like not to give any spoilers away, but if they're picking up Hit Row and they've taken Austin Theory,
yep,
I don't see a reason why he would hang around, especially when they're trying to push the younger talent.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if they really truly want to get, it's another reason why I'm surprised that Io and Zoe won, because I figured Io would be called up immediately. She still might be, so who knows? But our main event, which was a great match, but I was actually surprised by how this ended, was Raquel Gonzalez taking on and defeating Frankie Monet for the title to retain. But the crazy part happened after this. When this match was over, Toxic Attraction came in the ring, took out Raquel, and the show ends with Mandy Rose holding up the NXT title. Now, you remember how I feel about challengers holding on to a title.
Yep.
The difference is she's a heel, so it's okay for her to do it.
That's the only time I think it's acceptable.
Correct. If it's a face, don't touch the title. I can't emphasize that enough. But the fact that she had it, she held it up and looked absolutely fantastic with it. And to the fact that now all the commercials that come out for NXT 2.0, she's holding that title. So it's like, spoiler alert. But no, it's a good show. We also had some more vignettes. After just finishing The Sopranos, and I just watched the Many Saints of Newark yesterday, it perfectly wrapped up the whole show for me. And now we have someone coming in, debuting next week in Tony D'Angelo, who basically screams a character from The Sopranos. I am so excited to see. I hope to God that this kid is good in the ring, because I'm already completely in love with his character.
It's funny. Some of the shots I've seen, all I can think about were the early Razor Ramon vignettes.
Yes, that too. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you there. We then had probably one of the most hilarious they had a couple of videos of Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell's honeymoon. And of course, the Garganos are there because why wouldn't they be? I won't spoil it for you, but those of you who've watched this stuff, please let us know how you felt about it, because I personally love this shit so much. But I'm actually really looking forward to how Sam feels about this when he does get around to watching the show.
Oh my God. I can never get enough Index. I'll tell you right now. It's the greatest thing in wrestling.
It really, truly is. It's a fantastic storyline. But we'll go from one fantastic storyline to one that I think is very controversial. And I have feelings about this myself. And I know obviously a lot of other people do. But Joe Gacy, his character now that he's developed is, I don't know. Personally, I hate it. I really, truly do. I don't feel like that type of character really needs to be in wrestling, because there's enough of it going on in the real world. And I'm not taking a political side here. I'm just like, I feel like wrestling is my escape from the rest of this garbage that goes on this planet. And when you bring stuff like that into it, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. Some people like it for the parody aspect of it. I get that. It is comical, but it's still, I feel like it's not needed.
No, that's a great argument. I heard about this, and all I saw is, I think somebody said the first week of his content was like ripped like immediately.
Oh my God. I mean, I was on board with that as well when it came to ripping it apart. And I would have, if we, yeah, I would have talked about this a lot more probably at length last week. But I don't know. The fact that he comes out and he says, just like, in fact, like I have not been canceled, when everybody in the world wanted him to be canceled, was just a slap in the face to everybody, but it was needed because, yeah, all right. I don't want to get too political here, so I'm just gonna stop there.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. I gotta go back and find this stuff and watch it and kind of keep up, keep myself in the loop. However, I think we want to talk about the elephant in the room. The last 2 weeks of Dynamite. Scott, I said something to you last week when the Arthur Ashe Stadium show went live.
Yep.
You remember what I told you? This felt like the mix between WCW Nitro at its hype mixed in with WWE at the height of the Attitude Era. The crowd was, and yeah, we could talk about the rest of these shows. Oh yeah, there's some okay stuff, but the crowd didn't stop.
No, it was just 100% go. I loved it.
And I know some people like, oh, you can never replicate that. You can, and this, I'm going to say something controversial. Yeah, you don't have The Rock. You don't have Stone Cold. You don't have, Triple H during that time. You don't have Shawn Michaels during that time. You don't have all these other people during that time. But this, and I know JR said this roster could rival any roster that exists. And he's not saying that they're better. He's just saying that, look at how this crowd reacted.
Right.
All night. You go back and watch, again, I will always go back to probably one of the best crowd reaction matches ever, The Rock and Hogan.
Yes.
You want to talk about a crowd that's just on fire? That crowd. In last week's opening match.
I also will say that was a non-American crowd, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was in Toronto, wasn't it?
That was in Toronto. And again, another rabid fan base, Canadian wrestling fans. I mean, seriously, my God.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. So, and this is all I want to talk about from last week, because we could talk all day about that stadium show. That is ever since CM Punk came back, they've been on this upward trend.
Yep.
And every time something happens, they put another piece down. They put another piece down. They put another piece down. They almost seem more complete, more full, more legitimate. This, to me, felt like the final piece of them. Oh, we're not just a t-shirt company that signs indie wrestlers anymore.
Right.
So we're going to talk about the opening match, and we're going to go into this week's Dynamite. That match that kicked off the show was Kenny Omega taking on Bryan Danielson. And what was something, again, had you told me in 2017, Scott, when you and I met, hey, in 4 years, you guys are going to see Kenny Omega taking on Bryan Danielson in a company that's going to rival WWE, probably would have shot you in the face.
Oh.
Like you are a psychopath. You are nuts. You'll never see that because Daniel Bryan is a company guy now.
Yep. And at that point, still retired.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to look. I know some people were actually upset with the way the match ended. And I said, I forgot who, somebody said they didn't like it. And I'm like, no, that was perfect. Kenny is still on top. There was no shenanigans. And Daniel Bryan, I go, nothing says more about two talent when they go to a time limit draw.
Yeah.
That was their argument with Darby, I would say, when he wrestled Cody. Remember, I think it was his first match in AEW.
Yep. He goes
Fight for the Fallen. Time limit draw. Fucking time limit draw. And you're like,
that is how you put somebody over. It truly is. Because you can't, if you're an established talent and you can't put this rookie away, that immediately puts him over. Now, you can kind of make the same argument for Kenny and Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson's technically a rookie in AEW. Kenny Omega is supposed to be the world's the champion, the world's best bout machine. He can put anybody away, and he can't put him away. Now, I loved how Kenny spinned it in saying that Bryan Danielson, it's taking me a while to get used to that. Bryan Danielson couldn't beat him. It's like, well, Kenny, you couldn't beat him either.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's like, there will be no rematch. I'm like, oh, Kenny's scared. Kenny's scared. I love it. It's great storytelling, and I truly appreciate it.
This match, and I think, and again, I love AEW. I love the product. My favorite thing about this match, both of these guys are not high flyers. They can do some flippy shit when necessary.
Right.
But these two, this was like a brawl.
Yes.
This was a brawl. There were times where I think you texted me because we were on delay.
Right.
And you're like, I see your face. And I'm like, you're like, just wait. And I was sitting there and watching them the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It was just hard hitting. They took like the first 30 seconds to just stare each other down.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anyone realizes. Sometimes you want them to go head to head and start clamoring, but I think the best matches start where two talent who are very over to begin with just stand there and stare at each other because you know it's going to happen. You're there now.
It builds that anticipation, and you could tell like the decibels of the crowd was just getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And then that first collar and elbow tie up, the crowd was just like, it was great.
It was incredible. And the way, again, because you and I were talking about this, we're like, you can't, how do you do this? You know, Kenny loses, then he looks weak. You know, Bryan Danielson loses. I'm like, he loses first win. No, you can't do. And then you were like, time limit draw. What if they do time limit draw?
Yep.
That
was the thing. Like, I never even had that in my brain until when they were announcing them and they said, you know, the opening contest is one fall with a 30-minute time limit. I'm like, they're going 30 minutes. This is going to go to a time limit draw. Holy shit. How did I not think of this? It was, And I was just like, okay. And I love the fact that we actually sat down. Well, we didn't watch it together per se, like in person, but watched it over Skype. And me being on cable and you were on Sling TV, there was just that little bit of a delay, and something ridiculous would happen, and I'd lose my shit. And then Sam's looking at me like, "What?" And then it happens to them, and he loses his shit. It's just,
I wish I wasn't, but you know, it was a joy being able to watch a show with you again because we haven't done it since I think Slammiversary of Bound for Glory last year.
Yep.
But this match for me is probably already in the top 10 for the year.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then they were smart and they followed up with CM Punk coming out.
Right, yeah. It's like, who else to keep this momentum going but CM Punk, who is equally as over as those two.
The booking's incredible. Even with jump back to the news quickly. Even with the rumor that Tony Khan has full creative control over everybody and the EVPs have kind of just like in name only. He might be a fan who has a lot of money and started a company.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he understands the business.
Right.
You know, had somebody else done this, like Herb Abrams, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
He knew. He gets it.
Yeah.
He understands it and he's doing well with the product at hand. But we're going to get into this week's episode right away. So first and foremost, we had the opening bout of Jungle Boy taking on Adam Cole. It was funny because just the week or two prior, somebody posted dream matches we can see with Adam Cole in AEW now. And this is like the first match on that list that came up.
Yep.
And when I realized they're going through the card, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, this match going on, this match. Oh my God, they're starting with it. Whew. To see, this was Adam Cole, baby, looked phenomenal.
Yep.
Jungle Boy looked just as incredible. I love, too, even with them being a heel faction, AEW has been like, okay, yeah, we could do some heel bullshit, but let's show you why we signed these guys.
Right. Yep. They let them go out and wrestle.
Yeah, that's why I was like happy with Kenny Omega, where we got the match we wanted.
Yeah.
You know, this match, same thing. We got the match we wanted. Even with Adam Cole defeating Jungle Boy. Let me tell you.
But he had to cheat to do it.
He did.
That is great storytelling as well.
I mean, he's consistent.
Yep.
He is consistent. Following that, we had the Elite come out, just like we were talking about. You know, Kenny Omega sitting there. You know, you couldn't beat me even though we tied this and that. To which Bryan Danielson gave. I got to jump back one more time because when this started, Adam Cole, who didn't start off with the story time quote, asked if was it him or is it Matt? I forgot one of them. It's like, who's ready for the greatest wrestling promo of all time? And I'm like, okay, tune our horn a little bit, whatever. This was a memorable one. Whether it's the greatest, I don't know, but it was memorable because especially with Bryan Danielson, I've always liked his mic work. Yeah. Obviously in WWE a little more restricted. Here,
he's the American Dragon again, and it's lovely.
It's funny because he's not really a face, but he's not a heel. He's definitely an anti-hero because he's like, I'm just gonna kick people's heads in. That's what I'm here for.
Yep.
I'm actually the best in the world. Like he's almost like saying he's the best in the world without saying it.
Right.
You know, especially sitting there and he goes, you know, making the Kenny No Balls Omega statement.
And that crowd just ate it up. They just ate it up. Oh my God.
The ways we've gone from a year ago where it was the 69 Me Don comment.
That episode still gets downloads, by the way.
Well, it's probably the same reason why people watched TNA back in the day. Oh yeah, TNA, I'll buy that.
Oh.
I gotta jerk off to something. I mean, no, this was great. And then, you know, Christian Cage came out, Luchasaurus. I love how Kazarian is coming. Like, he's the elite hunter. There's something he needs to be in a main event match. Kazarian. He's everything was right about this promo.
Yep.
Everything was right about it. Again, the crowd was on fire. And keep in mind, this was the Brody Lee one.
Yes.
Episode. Following that, we had a solid match. Again, Dante Martin on the card.
Yep.
For like what, fourth, fifth week in a row at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Dante Martin and Matt Sydal, who, when he signed, I'm like, cool, Matt Sydal. I didn't know about Evan Bourne and whatnot at the time, but he's somebody who's grown on me as a tag wrestler. And then we had Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson. Again, this was a great match. Rhodes and Johnson won. I believe Johnson got the pin here.
Yes.
Which is great. They're really pushing him up the card. He's another one who I think he has a lot to offer. But we had another fire promo. One of the two promos this night, which I would be which I will
questionable content within said promos.
Now, I am a man of South Park. Nothing bothers me. Very little bothers me.
Yep.
So I wasn't necessarily bothered, but looking at the way they've presented themselves as a company and what they're expecting, especially after the Max Caster stuff recently.
Right.
I was surprised these two promos happened. So
right.
First and foremost, Arn Anderson, it looks like he has split from Cody, saying that you don't listen to him, this and that. If we were both in a car getting robbed, you would give him money. If it was me, I would take out my Glock and shoot him square in the face.
Glock Anderson has arrived, folks.
Glock Anderson. I need
the memes, the videos, everything that's come out since that promo has been some of my favorite stuff to watch.
And
so good.
I know the point he was making.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not bothered by him. Like, Arn just went straight up like gangster.
Right.
But I was just like, especially with recently the I know this is like two totally different topics here, but like Chris Jericho coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, they almost said they were gonna pull the show if I smoked again on TV."
Right.
It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any reprimands for these comments.
No, which is also crazy. Like, I know we'll talk about MJF's a little bit later, but I honestly expected, like, when I heard the stuff that he was saying, I was like, oh man, this boy's gonna get fined. Holy shit, you can't talk about that on TV. What's going on?
I guess my thing, especially after Max Caster, I forgot what Max Caster said. That got him.
Yeah, it was yeah, well, he made rape jokes. So yeah.
I would be curious to see what the line is. Rape, obviously, nah. Rape jokes on TV, that's totally no. That's a no.
Yeah. But guns are okay. Shooting somebody in the face apparently is okay. It's a fine line, folks. It's a fine line.
I'm just curious. So, like, I thought the promos were bomb. I thought they were incredible. I just want to know where that stands.
Right.
In the playbook of theirs. And TNT, even the network.
Yeah. Well, they want drama. Apparently now you have some drama.
So, following that, we had John Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin taking on Bear Country, and Anthony Green, a good friend of yours there, my friend.
I was very happy to see him on television. I know he was just recently on Dark, having a tag team match against FTR, and even FTR was pushing that match on Dark. I still haven't got a chance to see it, but some of the people that I've talked to said it's easily the best match of the night. I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. So I feel like that was probably why he was on the show, because you do good work, you get exposure. I also love the fact that after watching that match, I was looking online like in the days since, and everybody's like, why are they beating up Seth Rollins? I was like, ooh, is that a compliment or is that a bad thing? Either way, Anthony Green's being talked about. So put this boy on television more. Do it, you cowards. Do it.
Yeah, no, it was cool to see him. It was, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's weird seeing people leave one company. I mean, it might have been. This must be like Monday Night War shit all over again. Again, I wasn't old enough to like watch this, but like everything I watched, all the documentaries, everything I've read, to see this talent come over and be like, they were just there like a month or two. Like, Adam Cole, or even, I mean, fuck, you think Moxley is such a staple with this company now. It's almost to the point where you're like, yeah, he was a WWE guy at one point. Yeah. It's just, it's exciting and it's fun and I love it. I think we're actually going to see him on Friday? This coming Friday? Is he wrestling?
Yes, he is.
Chaotic?
Yes. He's wrestling Davian, who we just interviewed. So if you haven't listened to that, go back in our archives and find that match that interview that we had with Davian. Yes, this will actually be my first local indie show that I'll be able to go to since the pandemic started, and I cannot wait. Number one. Number two, I get to go with my boy over here. We get to spend some quality time and watch some people beat the ever living shit out of one another. I'm excited for it.
If you must know, guys, plot twist: we will not be tweeting Rampage next Friday. So
nope. No Rampage, no SmackDown, no SmackDown study on Saturday morning. I did mention on this past week's, I'll try to put it up as soon as I can. Most likely it'll probably be for Monday morning. As for our Above the Ring episode, that's to be determined.
Well, right here. So the next match we had, and this is where I think I tweeted, I felt like the card was going super fast. Like they were just banging out matches.
Yeah. And
now I realize why. And we'll get to that. So next up was the Dark Order and Orange Cassidy taking on the Hardy Family Office. It's good. I mean, it was. I think this was their tribute match for Brody Lee being in Rochester.
Yep.
I liked for what it was. I loved how Evil Uno and Stu Grayson decided to walk away at one point, and then not just Ty and Anna Jay came out, but also Amanda Huber. And I don't know about you, but I teared up a little bit there.
Yeah.
His wife comes out and is now, I don't want to say playing games, but is, she's throwing her hand in the pile.
Right.
And it was a lot of onions being cut.
Yep.
It was tough. They ended up winning. I did have a question. I'm not familiar with, so it was like a 16-man tag match.
Yeah, I know. That was insane in its own right.
You had the Butcher, the Blade, Hybrid 2, Private Party, Matt Hardy, and then you had this other guy who I'm not familiar with.
Yes.
George Old?
Yes. He is actually Robo, another indie talent who I've actually been able to watch before I moved up to Vermont. So he's been with the Hardy Family Office for a while, kind of like exclusively on Dark and Dark Elevation. The only reason why I knew he was a part of the team is because I've seen some of his social media posts, and I'm just like, wait, he's in the Hardy Family Office? What? Holy shit, that's fantastic. So again, another person they throw on television. I'm just like, yes, give this man more exposure. He's fantastic.
No, he looked great. It was incredible. I was just like, who is it? Why am I not familiar? Let me tell you, if I watched Dark and Elevation, man, I would have no extra time for myself at all.
Welcome to my life, Sam.
But no, it was cool, and it made sense for him to take the pin.
Yeah.
The lesser known talent, but didn't I don't think it took anything away from him. He was great in the ring.
Yep.
This was great. Good match. Good hug. We didn't get Rotunda Wyndham coming out, which I think they want to wait for, which would make sense, especially when you dropped all this talent recently.
Right. And I think people forget this. I did myself until I kind of did the math for it. His 90-day no compete clause doesn't end until October 29th, which is also a Friday, which is also a day of Rampage. Also 2 days before Halloween. I mean, if that doesn't spell out the perfect day to debut, I don't know what is.
Hold a second.
Yep.
October 29th?
Yes, like the end of this month, yes.
Wait a minute. Is that a Rampage or is that a...
Yeah, that's a Friday. Right?
Nope. So they haven't promoted it at all, but the 27th is Boston, which I have tickets for.
Oh boy!
And if Rampage isn't live,
we're having a moment, folks. We're having a moment. Sam, I swear to God, if he shows up, you better fucking tell me. Sam's gonna need a minute.
We're gonna move forward now. Because wow.
Yep. I'm just saying. It's a possibility. So just yeah.
Right.
And also, I will be live tweeting both those nights because I don't think Sam's going to be able to contain his excitement.
Well, that's where we're at now, guys. There we are. Okay. Following that, we had our women's tag match, Ty J and the Bunny taking on the Bunny and Penelope Ford. I love this feud. Everything about it.
It's good. It really is. I mean, honestly, like you worry sometimes with some of the feuds, but this one really fits. It does a good job with these four.
No, it was great. It was good. Obviously, Ty J got the win. They look great. I don't know how you'd be able to turn either of those two heel. You know, there's some baby faces you just can't see it happening.
Yeah.
Like you know how we always talk about like some baby faces that they just try too hard and you're like, yeah, just make them heel. You're trying too hard. They're just like, how would they be heel?
Yeah.
You know, especially going up against, you know, people like Penelope Ford and the Bunny, you know, Allie, who I think are great heels.
Yes. I agree.
Also, I want to point out, just before this match, we had another promo from Dan Lambert in Men of the Year. We got the Ethan Page that we deserve in AEW. That mic work was astounding.
Yes.
There's a reason why he was the mic guy when he was with Josh Alexander. Not that Josh can't talk, but all ego, all the time.
Yep.
I want the Men of the Year. More Men of the Year. Now, controversial promo number 2. MJF. MJF's out there, you know, doing MJF stuff. And then Darby Allin comes out. Who we don't hear him on the mic often, but we actually heard him on the mic here.
Yeah. I do like the fact that MJF talked about the 4 pillars of the future for AEW. Mm-hmm. I do like the fact how he dismisses Darby so quick. Obviously leading to Darby to come out. And then the controversial words were spoken.
Yeah, so we got this. This is great. Darby comes out, makes a couple of statements. MJF cuts him off. Talks about the reason he wears face paint is because he was in a car accident with his uncle years ago and almost killed Darby himself. To which MJF said, the only problem with the worst part about that night is that, and I might be misquoting here, I don't know how he worded it. It was like the worst part or the only thing that didn't go right that night or something along the lines is that the wrong man died that night.
Yeah. And that the uncle was a drunk, and it was just like, yeah. MJF doing MJF stuff. And even still, it was like I audibly was like, oh my God, did they really say that on television?
That was the thing. It's like, did they say it? But also this, I don't know which one's more shocking. Because I expect this from MJF. Even the comment about Brian Pillman Jr.'s mother should have swallowed. But this was almost like, and this is this is something traumatic. I mean, obviously, I have faith that Tony Khan or MJ, or they would, if Darby was uncomfortable, they would not have done this.
Right.
They would not have pulled this if he was uncomfortable. This isn't like the thing that Vince McMahon wanted Dean Ambrose to say about Roman Reigns.
Right.
Where Vince was like, "You're gonna say this," and Dean's like, "Oh, go fuck yourself."
No.
Not doing that.
Nope.
But also Arn coming out and saying what he said.
Right.
It was Arn Anderson, who is not a heel, by the way, currently. But also, what's his background? I mean, he grew up in the South somewhere, so he probably has some like fucking hard ass roots himself.
Yeah, I mean his his career work. He was mostly a heel, but he did have some great promos, but he was mostly just I'm gonna punch you in the face, and that's why I kind of love. That's why I kind of love FTR so much, because they're in that same vein, and they also had I believe a promo either tonight or on Rampage where they're like, yeah, we were worried that my brother was gonna lose his life, but now we're reinvigorated and we're gonna take faces off, and I'm like, all right. Let's go. I'm ready. Yes.
Yeah, no, and they're one of those teams where they definitely feel old school. Like you definitely get this feel like, yeah, we're gonna celebrate what we grew up with.
Yep.
Like not like the 90s, but like early 90s, late 80s.
Yep.
And they do it really well. And I think they deserve another title run at some point. After,
I agree.
The Lucha Brothers have a wonderful 10-year tag reign.
I can see them taking it from them too.
They would be the guys to do it.
What a difference in style too. Like completely different in style, because FTR is so like by the rules when it comes to like traditional tag team match, and the Lucha Brothers are completely opposite. They're like, fuck tag team rules. There are no rules. Well, it's just Lucha rules.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot of fun if you put those two in a program.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's jump right ahead to the main event. TNT Championship on the line. Sammy Guevara taking on the champion himself, Miro. Boy, oh boy, what a match this was. And again, going back to the thing where I'm like, oh yeah, why are they going through these matches so quickly? Because even the 16-man wasn't long at all.
No.
It was maybe 5 minutes. 10 minutes?
Maybe 10. Yeah, it was pretty quick.
This happened. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Boy, this was a bout.
Yeah.
This was a bout, and there were so many close calls. And even up until the end of this match, I didn't think it was going to happen.
I didn't either.
I know I would always love to have Miro to have the title again, or have it longer. He is still an older star, and they still need to work on this younger talent.
Right.
So here, and again, you want to talk about a pop.
Yeah.
The pop. Ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Guevara is the TNT champion. And boy, again, more fucking onions, man. This was just a moment. This was like one of their, shining, like, AEW homegrown talent. I mean, not homegrown, but you guys get what I mean. Right. They were incredible. They looked incredible. Oh my God. I'm so happy, especially with JR screaming. JR has to be all behind Sammy because he's just like screaming. I could hear him saying Stone Cold in the back of my head when he's saying, Sammy, Sammy, Sammy. It was so much fun. I can't wait to see what he has in store. Well, I mean, we know because Wednesday, Scott, he has a challenger. And
he does.
Undisputed challenger, if you will.
Good old Mr. Bobby Fish, who just recently signed with MLW, coming to TNT to challenge Sammy Guevara for that TNT championship. It's going to be a great match.
I can't wait. I'm looking for, oh man. Like, again, how do you not keep this momentum going?
Right.
Like, where does it stop? Like, I'm just like, this was a good episode. Again, I think there was a lot of matches that were rushed. But I think it was because you had the opening match, you had the ending match. You needed your time to, dedicate to Brody Lee.
Yep.
Great night.
I also just want to talk about the former champion for just a second, for Miro. When I first watched Rampage, I was actually not happy. I wanted Miro to have a longer reign But as the days have gone on, I've kind of like come to terms with like, all right, this makes sense. You want the younger talent to have the TNT title. I get it. But now, if Miro doesn't come out and literally destroy everybody on under like 2 minutes, then I kind of feel like this might have been a mistake. Either that or immediately throw Miro into the heavyweight title picture, but you really can't with Kenny being a heel. We need a face champion before Miro can really truly go for that title. If you want to do the whole heel versus face aspect of things. But I feel like I saw on Twitter, I think it was maybe the next day, that Miro said he and his God are going to have a chat.
Yeah, no.
So I hope he comes out and just obliterates everybody until he either gets a rematch or he gets a title shot, the heavyweight title shot. I think that just needs to happen at this point to keep his momentum going, because he's been literally unstoppable, had great matches. This momentum needs to continue to go.
Yep. No, and I agree. But as I know, and this is something I think we all need to keep in mind. I know some people get I have a couple friends who get upset because, oh, this person's not on TV a lot, this person's not this person's not that. Unfortunately, they only have 3 hours of TV time, not including Dark and Elevation.
Right.
Also, the Forbidden Door is open, so he can go anywhere.
True.
So I keep that in mind. I mean, he can even do indie shows. That's the one thing people forget, with AEW signing all this talent. Oh, they're going to burn themselves out, this and that. I'm like, yeah, but in WWE, when they signed all that talent, if they weren't being used, they sat there and couldn't do anything. Whereas now it's like, we don't have nothing for you for the next 2 months. Go do some indie shows, go to Japan, go to Mexico, go to the UK, go work MLW, go work Impact, go work this, go work Ring of Honor. The doors are open.
Yep.
So, I mean, I won't be upset if we don't see him, but I definitely don't want to see him go away. I want his promos about him and his pretzel bending wife. So,
who also, if we're going to talk about CJ Perry for a moment, she's been putting out, she just put out a video talking about how she's going to steal the TNT championship away from Sammy Guevara because he cheated to win. How he did a 630 onto Miro's dick, which is the only reason why Miro couldn't kick out. And I watched back; he literally did. So I'm like, well, okay, I can actually buy this now if they're going to continue to run with that. I would love to see her in AEW, even if it's just in a supportive role for Miro. I think that would be great. Because it would be everything that WWE fucked up when it came to them as a manager wrestler before. I think that they really could do something, even with how Miro talks about her. If they I don't know, they could do some crazy shit, and I think it would be kind of hilarious to watch.
Yeah, no, it could be. Yep. Yep. Nope. It would be incredible. So bear with me. Yeah. No. They need to make it happen. So we're gonna jump over. We haven't been watching Impact, tweeting Impact. It's been a crazy few month. I got a lot of other things going on, so I still want to at least give you guys coverage. So covering it because there is some stuff going on, especially going into the Bound for Glory. So this week, I think it happened last week. Christopher Daniels is back at Impact.
I love it.
Opening bout here, Laredo Kid, Alex Zane, and Trey Miguel took each other on in a 3-way for, I think, the number 1 contendership for the X Division. Miguel defeated Zane and Laredo Kid. The Influence, Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rain took on Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering, with the Influence defeating Grace and Ellering. Madman Fulton took on Christopher Daniels for Daniels to defeat Fulton. Rhino still looks like he might be punished by Violent by Design. Maybe he joins back. I don't know. There was a street fight between W. Morrissey and Eddie Edwards for the main event, with Edwards coming over Morrissey. After the match, Moose came in and took out Edwards.
Ooh.
And Morrissey made Alicia watch as her husband got destroyed. So that's interesting.
I like that they kind of called back to the Moose Eddie Edwards feud, because that was quite the thing back in the day. Can we also? I remember I sent you this video. Can we talk about the Deonna Purrazzo Mickie James brawl in Mickie James's barn at her own home?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that this has gotten so personal between these two is just brilliant. It speaks to just how good both of these women are. I'm looking forward to this match. I will buy Bound for Glory, even though I haven't been watching. I've been trying to pay attention. So I think this could be one of the matches of the night, easily.
Mm-hmm. I would agree, especially with Deonna being on fire.
Yes.
Okay, so following that, Scott, you want to talk to us about Rampage, since that's something I missed last night?
A little bit of Rampage. Yes. So our opening contest, Bryan Danielson and Nick Jackson. We talk about some good wrestling. Holy shit. I think some of my favorite parts were Nick Jackson was trying to do the yes kicks to Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan, like the first couple, he was just taking it. And then after that, it was kind of like he started not really hulking up, but kind of just like, bitch, are you doing my kicks? And he would lean into the kicks, and it would just like the crowd would just start popping every time he would do it. And it was just, I don't know. I really thoroughly enjoyed this match. I love this whole thing. So if I remember correctly, Danielson gets the win. The Elite comes out to help Nick. They go to attack Bryan Danielson, and then Jurassic Express comes out with Christian Cage. There's a kind of like this tense standoff because there's going to be a big 6-man, I believe, 6-man tag match come Dynamite next week. And then it just breaks out into a brawl. And then we had probably one of the greatest moments, I think, when it comes to like face versus heels. You have Adam Cole caught in the snare trap, and you have Kenny Omega caught in the label lock, and both faces make the heels tap. Now, I sent out a controversial tweet saying that, oh, look, Kenny tapped before Adam did. Wink. Because I'm still firmly in the camp of Adam Cole will be the destruction of the Elite. I am firmly in that camp, and I don't think there's anything really that can sway me from it. So having this is, I think, just another thing. Just have Kenny tap just that 1/2 second before Adam did. It was just, I don't know. It could mean nothing, but for me, I was like, all right, this just adds another layer on top of it.
Yeah.
So after that, we had some backstage interviews. We talk about Ricky Starks having a special message for Brian Cage before they have themselves their match. CM Punk having another backstage interview talking about how he's happy that, you know, what he's been doing so far has been a success, but now it's trying to get down to brass tacks, time to get down to business, and he's going to start going after, you know, the talent that he wants to fight, and talking about whenever, you know, CM Punk's in the ring, nap time's always on the menu. So it's like, I'm happy that Punk's now kind of just going to continue to go out and have some 5-star matches. I really feel like, I don't know if he'll ever hold the title in AEW, but I think he'll definitely do great to put people over, whether he loses or wins in matches. It's always fun to see what Punk's going to do next. We then had our three-way match with Jade Cargill taking on Nyla Rose, taking on Thunder Rosa. Fantastic. What's the word I want to use? The match itself was good. Just the presentation of all three was fantastic. with surprisingly enough, I expected Jade to win, but not to pin Thunder Rosa. I figured Thunder would be, maybe the third person out and they'd put Nyla down, but they didn't. So I'm interested to see what happens after that. Malachi Black stating that he is effectively done with the Nightmare Family, but other people on the roster have a toll to pay. So his future is kind of up in the air. We don't know who's going to attack next, but whoever it's going to be, may God have mercy on their souls. And then our main event of the night was a hair versus hair match. Orange Cassidy took on HFO's Jack Evans with Matt Hardy. And when I heard this, and also I want to take a step back and say, I like the fact that they've taken Mark Henry off of the commentary table, but I love the fact that he's there for that final interview before the main event. It's just that little segment for him fits perfectly. Talk about how the talking has stopped and it's time for the main event. It's just it works. It works. I like what they're doing with him. But this match was exactly how I expected it to go. Orange Cassidy gets the win. Hardy had called down the rest of the Hardy family office to come in and attack Cassidy so that Jack Evans wouldn't get his hair cut. But the rest of Best Friends and the Dark Order all came out, made like this human wall, and Hardy family office wasn't able to get through. And then Matt's just like, it's just a haircut. It's not a big deal. And he just turned around and kind of left Jack Evans for dead. And of course, we do the big cutting of the ponytail from Orange Cassidy, and then they shave the top of his head, and they just kind of just let him go, and he still has hair everywhere. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jack Evans looks next week. Hair versus hair matches are always, I don't know, for me, hit or miss. Like, it could be really good, it could be really awkward. I kind of feel like this kind of fell into the awkward category for me, because it's like, what's this really going to do for Jack Evans? Like, normally a loser of a hair versus hair match has a huge change in character, and it ends up taking him in a completely different, direction. But for Jack, I really don't get it. I understand he's just the pawn for Matt Hardy. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. I honestly really truly expected, maybe this might happen one day, Orange Cassidy versus Matt Hardy in a hair versus hair match.
Maybe this could be the start of the fall of the Hardy family office.
It could be as well. That's very true. Or at least having Hybrid 2 being taken out. Because Angelico did try to help his partner, but the Dark Order just beat the crap out of him and pretty much left him laying.
Because they've always been a fun tag team to watch. They were one of the original signees to this company. So I'm kind of curious where that would go. But also, before we get off the air, before we cut this episode short, 6 wrestlers have been announced for the Casino Ladder Match on Dynamite this week. The anniversary episode, Scott, 2 years.
I can't believe it's already been 2 years, Sam.
I feel like, they're still, they're in their infancy compared to how long WWE's been around. But Scott, like, what the fuck? 2 years?
I know.
So let's get right into this. So we have Pac, Andrade, El Idolo, Jon Moxley, Lance Archer, Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy, and a Joker. Winner receives a title match.
Yep.
Who could this be?
Adam Page. That's my first thought.
That is my thought.
Because he's been gone forever. He requested time off. This could be a perfect way to throw him back in, especially if he gives him a title shot. You immediately get Adam Page versus Kenny Omega once again for the title.
Yes, that's what I think. But also, we are just a little over a month from the pay-per-view now. And I know we still probably have at least 2 more matches. Well, we'll get 1. But we'll probably have a second match, too, somewhere in there with him and Bryan Danielson.
Right.
So I'm curious where this is going to go.
Well, we all know how Bryan Danielson likes to be, or at least Daniel Bryan does. He always likes to make things triple threats. So you could see, if it is Adam Page, you could see Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson versus Adam Page. I just throw my money at it now.
So then you would be able to go, hey, he'd pull the, neither of you could beat me.
One-on-one. Exactly.
One of them could go, hey, but one-on-one we could.
Yep.
And then obviously give Page the belt because Kenny's pushing a year right now. 10 months, I think.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm all in on what's about to happen. I'm excited. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We are looking forward to the coming weeks of everything. And if you don't already do so, please follow us on Twitter at Above the Ring. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Above the Ring. Don't forget to follow Ship It Studios, our new partnership that started a couple months ago, as well as our friendly rivals or friends at Back to the Ring. You can find myself as the SOB Official and Scott as Scotty J Stream. We are on all streaming platforms. If there is one you can't find us on, though, because Scott, those do trickle in from time to time.
It's true.
Please let us know. We'll make sure that we get ourselves on there. On your streaming device, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review. Tell people why Ship It Studios and Above the Ring is the podcast of your choosing and why they should listen to us as well. As always, thank you so much for listening, guys. Don't forget to ship it. And as always, do not forget to join the Bedlam.